Taylor Byrd, the science nerd. Byrd, 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 Byrd. Science rules. Byrd, 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 Byrd. ATP Synthase.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Taylor Byrd, the Science Nerd. On this episode of Taylor Byrd, the Science Nerd, we're going to need a little help, so let me introduce you to my helpers. This is Lauren. This is Christina. That's Enuma.
Hey.
And that's Nick.
Christina, I have an idea.
What, Enuma?
I think it would be great if we interviewed students around campus to see if they knew what ATP synthase is.
That's an excellent idea. Let's go!
Hey, do you have a minute?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you know what ATP synthase is?
Who?
ATP synthase?
It doesn't matter.
No, I do not.
Do you know where it's found in the body?
No.
Hi, can we ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Do you know what ATP synthase is?
I knew in high school, but I don't remember now. Do you remember where it's located in the body? No. Do you remember maybe what it functions to do? No. I'm an English major, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. You know what ATP synthase is?
Something with energy?
Yeah.
Good. Do you know where it's found?
No.
Do you know what it does?
Creates energy?
Can I ask you a question? Sure. What is ATP synthase?
Well, I remember learning about it freshman year.
Okay.
My class.
Do you remember its location in the body?
No.
Do you remember maybe what it does a little bit?
I remember cycles.
Cycles. Good. And do you think it's important, like, if we didn't have it? Probably.
Yeah. Christina, I can't believe it. Nobody knows.
I can't believe no one knew what ATP synthase was. I mean, I thought we went to Christopher Newport University.
This enzyme is important because it generates ATP, which is the smallest and most abundant unit of energy for the cell.
Here we are looking at a mitochondria within the cell. We are zooming into the inner matrix where ATP synthase is located. ATP synthase is embedded in the phospholipid bilayer. Take note of the high concentration of hydrogens in the inner membrane space. This is the basis for the proton motive force, which drives the production of ATP as hydrogens flow from a high concentration to low.
ATP synthase is the final enzyme in cellular respiration, generating around 26 to 28 ATP. It is made up of two subunits, F1 and F0, and the central gamma rotor. The F0 unit is embedded in the plasma membrane of the mitochondria, while F1 is contained on the inside of the mitochondria attached to the membrane-bound F0 unit. This particular enzyme has a gamma rotor separating the F0 and F1 units. The F0 unit rotates on the rotor while taking in protons, acting like a revolving door for the entering proton. The F1 unit contains alternating alpha and beta subunits with the gamma subunit located at its core.
Now let's take a closer look at how ATP synthase works in the mitochondria.
The chemoosmotic theory explains how hydrogens flow from high to low concentrations, generating kinetic energy to phosphorylate ADP to ATP. The pumping of hydrogens from complexes 1, 3, and 4 create an electrochemical gradient across the inner mitochondrial membrane. The hydrogens must then flow back into the matrix to equalize the distribution. This process is what ultimately drives the revolving of ATP synthase.
It generates adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, an energy molecule that provides fuel that every one of your cells needs to function. Without this fuel, your cells will cease operation, and so will you. ATP synthase works like a rotary engine. The barrel-shaped rotator is composed of 10 to 15 protein parts called subunits. The rotator spins around, transmitting mechanical energy into the drive shaft of the machine, which helps make ATP. This drive shaft has a specially placed bump that opens and closes parts as the drive shaft spins around. This bump opens special protein subunits on the bottom of the machine. When the bottom subunits open, a spent energy molecule called adenosine diphosphate, or ADP, enters the machine. The mechanical motion causes the ADP to bind with an additional phosphate group, creating the ATP energy molecule.
The bell tower represents ATP synthase. My helpers wearing red represent hydrogen atoms, and my other helpers wearing yellow represent phosphate groups. As you can see, hydrogen is moving through the ATP synthase from high concentration in the outer mitochondrial space to the inner mitochondrial space where there is a low concentration. Proton flow through the F0 domain creates mechanical energy, causing the rotor to turn and produce ATP from ADP plus a phosphate group.
Hey Enuma, with all this talk about ATP synthase, I wonder what a workout would be like without it.
ATP synthase! Woo!
No ATP synthase.
ATP synthase!
No ATP synthase.
ATP synthase!
No ATP synthase.
Wow. I'm so glad we have ATP synthase. No.
Today we learned a lot about ATP synthase. Let's do a quick recap.
When looking at the structure of ATP synthase, we can see there are two main subunits, the F1 and F0. F0 is located in the inner membrane and F1 is in the inner matrix. These two are attached by a center gamma rotor. The proton motive force drives ATP synthase. ATP synthase generates ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy currency for the cell. All cells require ATP synthase to function and for life as we know it to exist.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in to this week's episode of Taylor Byrd the Science Nerd and ATP Synthase. We'll catch you next week. See you guys later.
I just picked it up just like this.
Now let's take a closer look at how ATP is
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I can't speak. Hi, can I ask you a quick question? Sure. Do you know what
Did you say ATP synthase?
Yes.
You guys know what that is?
Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Let us know.
It's a protein that likes to sit in the...
Enzyme.
Question, take 3.
Hey, can I ask you a quick question?
Today we learned a
No,
lot.
not yet. Not.
No one really knew what ATP synthase was, although it's a vital enzyme in the body, and we just wanted to see what that was so bad.
Taylor Byrd, the science nerd. Bird, 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 bird. Science.